You are watching me, Mick, here on my YouTube channel, Movies TV Mad. You can also follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram, Movies TV Mad X. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It looks like from the box office and the reviews and the Rotten Tomatoes score that maybe pushing Zack Snyder out of the DCEU wasn't the best idea, or at the very least, they should have restarted everything. But you see, the failure of the DCEU is all about corporate greed and putting artistic integrity on the sidelines. This is an industry that was bred and born via artistic visions and artistic integrity. And when people are just interested in the almighty buck, but it's a business, Mick, we'll get to that. It's a business, but it's also an art house. Hollywood used to love us, and we used to love it. Do you know what that means? Because we used to love Hollywood, and Hollywood used to love us, it means they made money automatically. Because they made movies with love. Let's look at Back to the Future. Back to the Future and Die Hard and Home Alone. These are great fucking examples. Although these movies made lots of fucking money, they were actually good movies. So you can make fun, great, outstanding pieces of art that appeal to the mainstream audience, but artistic integrity doesn't have to leave the fucking building. Do you get me? And this is what is devoid of any logic when people say about the DCEU, Snyder stunk and Snyder was doing this and we want colour and we want gags. Back to the Future had colour, had gags, but it also had a great story and great characterizations. After Snyder left, where were your great characterizations? Where were your great movies? Please fucking tell me. You can't, can you? Because there wasn't any. Because the titans of industry have left the damn building. And that's the point. And that's the point I'm making here. This is why the DCEU failed. The comparison is there. Yesterday I was watching Die Hard and Die Hard 2 because it's Christmas, and even though I don't think either of those movies are Christmas movies, we've already spoken about that, I thought, hey, why not? Embrace the season and embrace everybody else's opinion. Die Hard is such a simple fucking movie. It can be funny at times. It can be serious. The action is fantastic. That moment at the end when John McClane walks out with his wife and he meets the black policeman, Sergeant Al Powell, for the first time, that emotional Michael Gaiman music. They hug. There was a trend in the late 80s of white men and black men being friends. Isn't that a beautiful vibe, everyone? We don't get that anymore. Now, it's black people with black people and the white people are the villains. Why is woke Hollywood so determined to keep us divided? To keep the cultures and the genders divided and hating each other? They're supposed to be fucking progressives. Because in the old days, when I grew up watching Hollywood, there was this wholesome message at the end of the movie. When I used to watch the Masters of the Universe animated series, Teela or He-Man or Man-at-Arms or even Orko would stand there giving me a good moral lesson as a kid. It wasn't preachy. It was a good moral lesson. It was anti-bullying. It was anti-this. But it didn't even kind of attack the bully. But it gave you a good lesson. If you're being bullied, tell your teacher. If this happens, if you see someone that needs your help, then help them. Things like that. That's what entertainment used to do. But now the social commentary in our entertainment is so hateful. It's the left hating on the right or the right hating on the left. Mostly the left hating on the right. You know, it's all about hate these days. I actually hate this world I live in today. I really wish I was born when the Titanic launched. I really do. They were better times. People struggled, they didn't have technology. There was a lot of poverty. There's not the kind of luxuries we have today. But at the end of the day, they were simple people living simple lives. I don't like this world I live in. I really don't. Every time I go on Twitter and post something, or X, I'm scared someone's going to come after me and attack me. Sad, isn't it? Sad world we live in. Let's get back to talking about the DCEU. Lots of people have said, Mick, when are you going to have a spoiler discussion on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? I'm not there right now. But let me say this to you. If you gave The Flash or Blue Beetle or Shazam Fury of the Gods a better score or a better review than Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, then the problem lies with you. Because I will say about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I do have a lot to say about the movie, and in the new year we will have a spoiler discussion. I'm not in the frame of mind to talk about the DCEU. As you saw from my video yesterday, right? When I mean talk about the DCEU, we're talking about the DCEU now, but talking about that movie, right? I'm not in the frame of mind right now. I mean, I'm recording this on Christmas Eve. You're either going to see this on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So it's either Merry Christmas Eve or it's Merry Christmas. Whatever it is, enjoy. I hope you do enjoy my videos. I hope I don't bore you too much. And maybe I do. Maybe you click on and off very, very quickly. And I'm sorry if you do. But this is me. But we're changing next year. Big changes for my channel. We're going to get a co-host eventually. And it's going to be fun. And she's going to be female. And she's going to love movies. And we're going to have some banter. And we're going to change the face of this channel. But we're still going to have the integrity and the morals we've always had. We're always going to give it to you straight down the throat. There's going to be no sparing of the entertainment industry's ego. I'm here to speak my truth. Not the universal truth, but my truth. And I want you to feel safe in disagreeing with us when I have a co-host here. I think that's important. But doing it constructively is very, very important to me and everyone. Attacking people for opposing your opinions isn't really a clever idea. Attacking someone on X or Facebook because they have dyslexia like myself, because you don't like our opinion. So when I say there, you correct my there, right? You correct my grammar, my spelling, because you can't actually argue intellectually about the point I've just made. That's the world we live in today. And that's why I hate the world we live in today. It's become a very cruel, divided world. And I know there's a lot of you who follow me here on YouTube or X because you understand that I won't attack you. If you are against me, I mean, when I did live videos, there was this one guy, do you remember him? Different names, he's probably still about, you're probably still watching this video, who attacked me and attacked me and attacked me. Even went on X, when it was Twitter, saying things about me. And I ignored it. I didn't start a war. I let him have his anger. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to fight wars. I just want to do my thing. I just want to, it's all about ego and opinion with me. You know, I love the sound of my own voice. It's not about this channel becoming successful. If it does, brilliant. If it doesn't, so what? Look, there's so many reasons why the DCEU failed. But the main one was corporate greed and not putting artistic integrity first. Because the way this franchise started was all about artistic integrity. We had David Goyer with an idea and a screenplay from a story from David Goyer and one of the greatest directors ever, Christopher Nolan. I was so proud that Chris was involved with this first Superman movie, Man of Steel. And you could see its quality. And I think if Nolan and Goyer and Snyder stayed together, even with BVS or whatever that film would have been, with them involved, I think the DCEU would still be cooking. But, as I say, corporate greed informed this studio's decisions. So they parted company with Nolan and Goyer. And in the end, they drove poor Zack Snyder out. That's why the DCEU didn't work. We discussed this yesterday. But I want to continue this discussion with, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom being out there. The truth of the matter is that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is better than The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Shazam Fury of the Gods. And what's the other one? Birds of Prey. I wouldn't say it's better than James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I'd be wrong to say that, even though, I was just watching Grace Randall's spoiler review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. She made a great point. While popping pictures up of Margot Robbie, etc., she made the point that no one seems to be in charge at DC. Even now with James Gunn, there doesn't seem to be anyone in charge because she said Matt Reeves can just decide that his franchise isn't part of the DC universe. But I don't blame Matt for that decision. Who would want to be involved with that? Something that doesn't even make bloody sense. to its audience. You know, is it DC Universe? Is it still the DCEU? Fuck if I know, and fuck if you know, right? But Randolph makes a great point, because she's a bit like Marmite. Sometimes you love her taste and sometimes you don't like her taste. Not that I've tasted her before. I would go there though. Grace, you know where my socials are? Well, you don't, but you do now. Give us a call. I'm always up for some fun with a hot YouTuber. Anyway, back to the point. But she did make a really, joking aside, she did, it's very old-fashioned joking. It's offensive joking, but it is a joke after all, which she won't appreciate because she's a bit of a feminist. Well, she does live in Cali. What do you expect? But anyway, the point she made was great. Why do they allow the people in front of the camera, the actors, to make so many decisions? Because she was speaking about a very cringy moment at the end of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, where Jason Momoa rips off a moment from Robert Downey Jr. at the end of the first Iron Man movie. I don't want to spoil it, but it's so cringy and on the nose and pathetic. We'll get there in the new year when we do a spoiler review. And I really want to see the movie a few more times as well before I do a spoiler review. But yeah, it's the end of the DCEU. My motivation to do a review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom really isn't there. But it did get a solid B score, cinema score, which is actually quite solid. 100 million domestic, no, 100 million, not domestic, that would have been great. And they'd be celebrating, wouldn't they? No, 100 million global box office weekend is at least solid. But it's a much better movie than the rest of them we saw this year. No, I don't think it's as good as Black Adam. Black Adam, personally to me, I got a lot of enjoyment from it. I thought the story's great. I thought The Rock really cooked as Black Adam. I thought he brought a lot of talent in front of the camera and behind the camera. That was all The Rock. He put all those people in place. He put Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate in place. This guy, the thing is with The Rock, the reason why it's actually a better film than people give it credit for, it's not that in terms of a film, right, you may say this is not a good film, Mick, as a film, but it's a really good DC movie, and I'll tell you why. And it's the same reason that League of Super Pets is a really good DC animated movie, but not necessarily, if you called it an animated movie, you may say it's not that good, Mick. But that's why I really like Black Adam. Black Adam is a really good DC movie if you're a DC purist and want to see DC cook on screen. That's why a lot of us were excited about maybe him and his production company running DC. Because the truth of the matter is, Black Adam may not be the greatest of films, but it's a great DC movie. And it celebrates DC in the right way. A brilliant Dr. Fate. A solid Black Adam. A fucking brilliant, what's his bloody name now? Hawkman. A brilliant Hawkman. Fucking hell. Hawkman was perfect. Even though they race bent him, the actor was brilliant and he was brilliant. The whole cast were really good. So I thought it was a really, really good DC movie. As League of Super Pets was a great animated DC movie. So one of the key decisions from Zaslav once Black Adam flopped was to remove the CEOs of WB Pictures from running DC and bringing in Gunn and Safran. Because, again, and this is the story of the DCEU, it's being reactive via box office. Because basically Black Adam was going to make, even if China was there, Black Adam would have made, just under 500 million, which would have been a lot more than Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Blue Beetle and The Flash, but still wouldn't have been good enough, I'm sure, for Zaslav. Zaslav probably wanted a lot more money from Black Adam, but it wasn't possible ever for Black Adam to make like 600, 700, 800, $1 billion because it's Black Adam. It's the same problems that Shazam 1 had. Shazam 1's a really good, solid CBM, but there wasn't enough people interested in Shazam, or they didn't do a good enough job with the character to actually make him popular. So this is a great example, actually, to what Feige did well over at the MCU. Well, Iron Man wasn't a big deal before Robert Downey Jr. took on the part, but then the characterization of Iron Man in the first Iron Man film and going forward was so good, all of a sudden it captured people's imagination. The casting of Zachary Levi was the problem there, because you could have actually brought in an actor with a more muscular figure. In fact, I think John Cena would have actually been a better Shazam than what we got. I don't think Cena gets on with The Rock. I don't think most people get on with The Rock. But I think John Cena as that muscular kind of superhero would have worked in terms of Shazam. And let me tell you something else from what I've noticed from Cena as Peacemaker. He has fucking brilliant comic timing. Zachary Levi was wrong for Shazam from day one. We know he doesn't look very muscular. We know he's wearing a padded suit in the first film, and he did work out a little bit more, bless him, for the sequel. But the reason Levi was there, because he's friends with Saffron. He's an okay actor. He has got good comic timing, but he isn't fucking Shazam, right? You were better off just getting like Asher Angel, doing him with some CGI and making him look older with some muscles. That would have been better than Zachary Levi. Much better. Zachary Levi was outstanding in Tangled and, of course, in Chuck. But I don't really think he's a good film actor. I don't think he was born to be a film actor, and he's no Shazam. Because Shazam was that moment, that Iron Man moment, where you could have taken a middling, grade Z character, and once upon a time, and I know people have taken kind of issue with me over this, yes, a long time ago, you know, Captain Marvel, as he used to be called, was one of the big DC characters. I concede that point. But in the 21st century, he's not. Today, we're just having a little DC chat just before Christmas. That's all we're doing. We're not particularly talking about one thing. But as I said in the beginning, pushing Snyder out was a mistake. And I made an interesting point. You know, a lot of the points I've made today, the way the conversation's gone actually is all improvised. I wasn't planning to talk like this and say these things, but I think my points are very, very valid. And I think the point is, when we talk about Snyder being too dark, his movies being too dark and too serious, which I don't agree with. I don't think they're too anything. They're perfect for me. But if you're the sort who wants more gags and brighter colours, then you make films like Back to the Future and E.T. Look at E.T., man. Look at E.T. It can be sad, obviously, emotional, a great story, a story of friendship. It's funny at times as well. What I'm saying is that you can make fucking family movies that actually have art and integrity and a good story and good characterizations without being dumb, like Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom or The Flash or Shazam Fury of the Gods or, you know, Quantumania. They can't make movies anymore. Because if someone kind of made movies in the vibe, the artistic vibe of Back to the Future or E.T., that there's something artistic there. But they think by throwing bright colours, spraying bright paint at you with some naff gags, that's a family movie. And it's not anymore. And also the dynamics of families have changed these days as well. You know, and that's something to look at as well. And sensibilities have changed, but here's the thing. Families, whether it's two men parenting children or two women parenting children, or it's trans people parenting children, are still sitting there on a Sunday afternoon watching E.T. or the Goonies or the Gremlins movies, right? Or this Christmas watching Bill Murray in Scrooged or whatever it is. People are not watching the family movies made for today because the family movies they're making, like Aquaman 2, like Shazam 2, like the MCU Phase 4, are not appealing to families. The box office and reviews prove that these people simply can't make a simple movie. The first Jumanji with Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire was a movie with a deep emotional centre about a father who wasn't allowed to see his children. So he went to, to the depths of becoming a female just so he could see his children. Now, I don't know how, the woke society we live in today would deem a man pretending to be a woman because of the society we live in today. I don't know, but I tell you that when I watch Mrs. Doubtfire, when the credits are rolling, I'm fucking crying. Crying emotionally, in a good way. It's an amazing fucking film. But Robin Williams was an amazing fucking man. Funny, intelligent. He was an amazing man. And how he ended his life and how his life ended in the end was so tragic. To think of a man like that suffering, or any person suffering, isn't very nice. And, the last person who deserved that was Robin Williams. But those were the kind of talents that we had. We don't have the talent we once did. Now, this is not the same discussion as my father having with me when I was watching Stallone and Arnie or whatever, and he was saying, he's not no Dirk Bogarde. And obviously those actors were outstanding as well. Or, Vivian Leigh in Gone with the Wind, fantastic, right? Because we were still seeing really good entertainment with variety. No one's saying that Arnie and Sly were the greatest actors, but we also had films with great actors. We had The Untouchables. We had the great Costner movies as well. We had movies like JFK, The Bodyguard, Born on the 4th of July with Tom Cruise, Casualties of War. Wonderful movies. Some were light and fun and some were really deep and dark. We had a mixture. But when people talk to me about DC needing that family vibe and needing the colours that pop and the gags, I don't see anything that works, because the truth is they don't know how to make a fucking family movie. That's the truth here, everyone. Because if you want to get rid of Zack Snyder because you feel his movies are too serious and too dark, fair enough. I don't agree with that. I thought they were a great alternative to what Marvel were doing. But fine, I get the point. It is a business as well. Okay. You remove Zack Snyder and maybe you bring in someone like, Robert Zemeckis, and get him to pop. Not that I think, Bob would be interested in working in comic books. He turned down doing Superman many years ago as well. In fact, he publicly stated he had no interest in making a Superman movie. But there's no one in the industry that can give you a Back to the Future or an E.T., apart from Steven Spielberg and Zemeckis themselves, and they're not going to come in. There's no one there, because family movies still had artistic integrity. They still had a fucking story. Jaws is perceivably a family movie. We sat there as a family watching it when I was a kid. Superman the movie, Back to the Future, E.T., Gremlins, all these films, right, were family films. But there was a vision there. There was still a fucking vision there. But there's no vision in Shazam or Shazam 2 or Blue Beetle. All it is family. Family. This is how literal-minded they are today. That, because it's a family movie, they make it about family. So Shazam and Blue Beetle focus on one family. I don't know about you. Shazam kind of got away with it, but Blue Beetle really doesn't. Because I got so fucking bored of that family, of the Reyes family. So bored. Even if I had, a wife and children. I don't have any children, by the way, just to let you know. I'm 51. Yes, not all people end up having the normal life, and that's okay. But yeah, even if I was in a family kind of dynamic, seeing another family on the screen doesn't make it a family movie. Because, and E.T. is interesting because it does revolve around one family, but mainly it revolves around one kid being lonely because his parents have been divorced and he misses his father. And it's about that kid connecting with someone else. Where in Blue Beetle, it's about this kid just connecting with his family who happens to be stuck with the scarab. And nothing interesting is done with that film. There doesn't seem to be any core values or kind of a moral there, where E.T. kind of is about letting go. That's the point. You know, Elliot can't accept that his parents are divorced or separated, so he kind of clings on to E.T. And in the end, he has to accept that he can't go with E.T. and E.T. can't stay with him. So he has to let go. So the film has a core moral lesson for all of us when we were watching as kids. And it's a good one. It's not preachy, it's not political. Letting go in life is the most important thing, because this is where jealousy and bitterness come in, when you can't let go. And then you've got something like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where it's about a guy who believes something, believes that a UFO has arrived, that something's going on, and no one believes him. And because nobody believes him, he goes fucking insane trying to prove his point. In fact, that's a great analogy for the world we live in today. Believe me, agree with me, I'm going mad, agree with me. That's the kind of world we live in today, right? Everyone's shouting from the rooftops. Why doesn't people have my opinions? Because they don't. That's why we beat Hitler in a fucking war, so we could all be different, right? Anyway, I'm exhausted with the world we live in, I really am. And I'm actually exhausted not just by strangers, but by some of the people in my life. I'm just exhausted. I'm exhausted seeing the immorality in the world. How people simply don't give a shit about others and only care about their own positions. And the more some have, the more they want. And some of us that don't have very much, just make do with what they got. We wish we had more, but we accept the fact that we never will. And that's life. But going back to films, this is why the DCEU failed. Because they didn't understand what makes a good family movie. Because Snyder wasn't trying to make a family movie. I mean, he's a big family guy. He's adopted children. He's a great father. He's a warm dude. But he wasn't trying to make Man of Steel into a family movie or BVS or Justice League. He has a vision. He has storytelling ideals, and at least he was the one person making DCEU content, or art, I think is a better word to use, that actually stuck to his values. And because of that, it worked for a certain audience. The same audience that are making Rebel Moon at #1 in over 60 countries at the moment on Netflix. Zack Snyder is still cooking, while the final and recent DCEU movie struggles with these same old problems. So it proves that Snyder wasn't the problem. Because if you remove Snyder, but you had an artistic vision, and you understood what a family PG movie is and what it takes to make a good family PG movie, then you would have succeeded. It's interesting when you watch films like Gremlins and Back to the Future with a cup of cocoa or hot chocolate or whatever your chosen drink, beverage is, you feel cozy and warm. You feel safe. You feel like the film isn't going to attack you for being a man, a boy, a woman, or anything. It's just going to tell a warm story that makes you feel good at the end of it. And that's what Gremlins is all about. That's what Back to the Future is all about. Back to the Future is about, a son looking at his parents and thinking, I'm never going to be like them, then actually seeing them in their prime and realizing where they come from. That's the whole point. There's another moral lesson there that isn't preachy, isn't political. It's about a parent and a child reconnecting and seeing what happens to our dreams as young people. As young people, we want to do this, we want to do that, but when we get older, none of those things happen. And that's the interesting thing about Back to the Future. So all these films, these brilliant family films, had great moral lessons. But when you look at these so-called family-friendly DCEU movies that were made after Snyder left, how are they going to appeal to any family. Why does Billy Batson's foster family appeal to me if I'm in a family? Why does the Reyes family appeal to me just because they're a family? Just because you're making a family movie, it doesn't have to be about a family. But when it is about a family, it has to pop and it has to appeal emotionally. As I said on X on one of my videos, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And all the king's pieces. Now, how's it go? Let's say it again. Let's say it properly. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And basically, whatever it is, because I've forgotten it now and it was going to be a really good ending to this video. But basically, after Zack Snyder left, they really couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And that's my point. Whether you're seeing this video on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, I want you to have a very Merry Christmas. Whether you're on your own or you're with a bunch of people, enjoy it. If you don't celebrate Christmas, still enjoy your day. Just enjoy your life. And the most important thing I've taken from this year is don't be so reactive to what other people say and think. Have your opinions. You hear a bad opinion that you think is a bad opinion, move on. Don't let it affect your day. Don't let it affect your mood. Try and enjoy life as much as you can.